Okay. Hello, hello. Okay. Wow, what a turnout. First of all, thank you everybody for coming. It's really nice to have you all here. I hope everybody's had enough drinks. If you didn't, this is the time to go to the bar and get one because you're about to not want to get up because you're going to be so engaged by the panel of amazing experts that we brought here. So quick, run to the bar. No? Okay. So thank you everybody for coming. I'm Yitzy. I'm a partner at DLT LAW. We are the legal firm that is sponsoring the event. We are a global legal and regulatory consultancy firm for blockchain companies. So if you don't do crypto, don't talk to us. But if you do, we should definitely have a chat. Happy to talk anytime after the event. Or you could scan this and directly connect via Telegram or WhatsApp or website or whatever. That was my only plug for the night. I will now not talk about myself anymore. We have compiled a phenomenal group of panelists here tonight from all across the industry. We have regulatory experts, we have entrepreneurs, and we have, I look at this term as a term of respect, but some people don't like it. We have degens as well, okay? What can you do? The industry is tiered that way, and we're gonna have a lot of fun chatting. I am not going to introduce the panelists. I don't believe in that. I think people should introduce themselves because I only met you guys like 3 minutes ago. And even though I stalked you on LinkedIn over the last 2 days, I probably would do less of a good job introducing you. So why don't we just start with passing the mic around. We can start with you, Stav, and introduce yourself. A question that I like to ask people whenever I meet people in the industry is, since we're at a crypto conference, just like very briefly, what is your genesis block? Like, how did you fall down the crypto rabbit hole? I'm not looking for like an entire like legacy story, but just like to touch on it. And what do you do? And bullish thoughts for the industry.
Hello, everyone. You can hear me, right? My name is Stavros, Stav, to those who know me. I'm hearing the
firecrackers?
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going.
Normally when I talk anyway. I'm the CCO of Cryptopay, a group that processes 3 billion in transactions a year in crypto to fiat payments, mostly stablecoins. And the founder of the Cyprus Fintech Society, whoever's here, hands up. No one? Okay.
I applied for membership today, so
thank you. Yeah.
Please approve.
No. Tomorrow. So my story is with crypto. It's a bit of a. It's putting me off a little.
Sorry. You want to switch mics?
Okay. So my story with crypto is I come from the high risk industries. So when miscoding in card payments or EMI transactions, cross borders and things like that, stopped or got over-regulated, we had to look for an alternative. And this is not to put a bad spin on crypto payments, but when cross-border transactions come along in high-risk industries, gambling, forex, the adult entertainment, table over there, stablecoins was a solution for us, right? So for the last 5 years, I've been dealing in stablecoin transactions, mostly USDC or USDT to fiat, for the ease of payments when it comes to exchanging money for, let's say, the unorthodox industries. I'll stop it there because I'm going to go into it a bit later on, and then I'll pass over the mic to George.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much. My name is George Agathangelou. Let's say I started my journey into finance from forex industries. I was working as a salesperson, move on to dealing rooms. Next thing I know, I'm chief dealer for markets.com. And I heard about Bitcoin back in the day. It was 2012. I was looking to get some Bitcoin for myself. I couldn't find any way how. However, I had a friend of mine that was really, into tech. He was a CTO for a company. He told me, George, found this company that you can buy miners from China. So I was like, okay, let's do it. I ordered the experimental miners back in the day. It was 2012, 2013. I cannot remember exactly when. I believe it was 2013. In any case, the Chinese, they were working with my miners for a year, and then they sent it to me after the hash rate went up. Anyway, I started mining Bitcoin back in the day. It was when we also had the Cyprus haircut. And next thing I know, I'm into this Bitcoin rabbit hole. I'm trying to learn everything about it. That's when I actually understood Austrian economics. That's when I found the principles of sound money. Because in the university, I was studying economics, but it was only this Keynesian economics, this fiat economics, this economics that is based out of thin air. Anyway, through my journey, I met some very interesting people, some bright minds. Um, I ended up working for the University of Nicosia. I ended up working also for Grant Thornton as an external consultant nowadays. And here I am today. I'm advocating for Bitcoin, for sound money, for gold. Right now, I am the Chief Operating Officer of IPMB, International Precious Metals Bullion. We are building the lowest cost gold acquisition platform in the world, the first vertically integrated gold tokenization project. We're going against Paxos, we're going against Tether Gold, and we're trying to build something quite different and bringing back, let's say, a modern gold standard. With all that information, I'm going to pass the microphone to Mike. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
Hi, my name is Lior. I'm the CEO of XBO.com. It's a crypto exchange regulated and licensed in Europe and globally. We launched 3 years ago. And actually, I'm not a crypto boy. I'm not the one that bought it when it was 7, and not even the one that bought it when it was 7,000. Actually, I'm a very, in general, I'm also come from a position of product development and product manager. Now I also do other stuff, but in general, that's my core. And I worked in algo trading. I started there in algo trading company in Israel for 8 years, and then I moved to the B2C in a gambling company called 888. And then I came to Cyprus for the Forex industry to develop a B2B poker platform. And then 4 years ago with co-founders, let's call it this way, they told me, okay, exchange was, the crypto exchange was booming and the cryptos was so high and Bitcoin and etc. And I always was fascinated about the idea of blockchain on the way that how it's the revolution, the technology level and the mindset of no one's money, or free money sometimes. The concept is amazing from the development, from the product and the technology point of view. It's, endless on the options comparing to others. So the idea was amazing for me, and I said, okay, let's do it. I was supposed to develop the platform. I didn't know anything about developing crypto exchange, and I wasn't even I didn't really had a crypto wallet so much. Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly. That's my motto in life. Yeah. So I said, I thought like, okay, can we do it? I said, yeah, okay. Okay, when I said, okay, I think we can launch in September 22. It was on the beginning of the year. Everyone was skeptical, of course, even me. But everything was booming, everything was pink. We were sure it's going to launch and it will be amazing and everyone will come. And we had amazing retail plans. And then just before, a few months before we launched, the crypto collapsed and all the markets were down. And I was saying, okay, even if I will launch, what we will do with it? Luckily for me, I work with amazing partners and teams. And after we recovered a bit from the shock, we decided to pivot into the corporate markets. And XBO in the last 3 years is very focused on the corporate markets. We also developed, right after the launch, a crypto processing solution that allows brands to basically get deposits in cryptos and get instant settlements in fiat and payouts and et cetera, et cetera. And it was an amazing journey. By the way, it's more amazing to see the corporate market in cryptos than the retail, because the retail is kind of obvious. There is retail market in gambling. It doesn't mean it's like going to change the world. But when you see the corporate industry and the more financial institutions going into the crypto, it seems inevitable that the trend will just continue. So that's it. That's my story in a nutshell.
Need help there? George, just get out 1 second.
Okay, thank you. Right, so my name is Yiannos Ashiotis. My genesis or my dive into the rabbit hole when it comes to crypto came in 2017, where we had a project assisting a lawyer to do an ICO out of Cyprus, which looking back now, that was very naive, very risky. Probably shouldn't have done it, but again, you fake it till you make it, right? So you just do it and
then you're an expert.
Yeah, exactly. And then fast forward a couple of years, I remember it was back in 2019, we had a client that has this crazy idea of doing an EU-regulated fund under the Alternative Investment Fund Directive, but only for crypto. And I remember I went to Aizik, it was Dimitra Kalogiru back then, which you can say a lot of things about Dimitra, but she was definitely a pioneer and definitely a very dynamic woman. And I explained to her what we wanted to do, and she's like, yeah, go ahead, right? And that was a big eye opener for me, because we kind of, for the first time, we were forced to kind of bring the traditional finance regulation and kind of cross-reference it and map it into crypto requirements. Now, me, even though traditionally I'm a CPA, I come from a financial services advisory background, it was a big eye opener. And since 2019, I kind of took a deep dive into crypto and regulation, but from a very, very practical approach. A couple of years later, we had the chance and a very big opportunity. It's a big story about how it came to me, but we had the chance to work with Revolut to get their license for the digital assets here in Cyprus. And again, we really had to fight for it. It wasn't such a straightforward thing. Cyprus was one of the 4 or 5 jurisdictions that Revolut was considering. But I think we kind of persuaded them that Cyprus was the right place for them. And again, that was another amazing schooling and experience to understand how crypto can be applied in the traditional financial services background, especially when you talk about Revolut, which, if you think about it, combines banking and financial services and crypto at the same time. And since then, crypto has been a major part of what I do. So for the past couple of years, after a 4-year stint with Grant Thornton, working with George.
You guys were together there?
No, actually, I was a partner. I was running the it was the regulatory advisory and funds services at Grant Thornton. George was probably one of the first people that I know that was 100% crypto. So he still is. So for the past couple of years, after I left Grant Thornton, we're running advisory firms out of Cyprus, Greece, and the UAE, working with financial services clients. But again, primarily, you see that it's all about crypto nowadays. And even if you're talking about traditional financial services firms, it's always about crypto as a facilitation of either financial services, of payments, or corporate transactions. So again, it's an amazing space to be at, and really happy to be here.
Never a dull moment in this space.
Never.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much. A question mainly for the builders. I apologize. I'll give you your chance afterwards. So you guys are building in a space that's constantly evolving from a regulatory perspective, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, I guess. It's good because nobody wants to operate in a completely gray space because nothing stays gray forever. And at some point, like, you need to understand, like, what are the guidelines? How am I going to navigate here? So I think ultimately regulation is a good thing, but it also makes it very difficult to, operate with a roadmap and to, unless the regulations are very, very clear. So I wonder, over the last few months, as we've seen Mika come in or like slowly come in and continue to come in, has this been a blessing for you guys in that you have like more direction and guidelines to work with, or has it been just a huge pain in the ass? Your smile says it all.
No, actually, like it's a discussion that we were having throughout 2024, also in the conferences. First of all, you said it, I think, very precise and very, very well. That it can be a good thing, obviously, after FTX, and all the crises that we had on the.
Good for who is the question?
No, I mean, it's a good thing, I think, for businesses and for clients, okay? Why? First of all, for the users, it's obvious, okay? You need some fence, you need some defense, you need some ways to measure who to trust, how to trust, but also for businesses, because I think when there is like a void, then businesses follow the business KPIs, and the business KPIs are very, very clear, and follow the money, right? So sometimes companies also need help in prioritizing. And I can see it also, on our side. When Mika, we invested a lot on 2024 on the Mika application, so we have Dora, and I'm also like on the CTO side of things. It's a lot of volume falling into you, and so it's the policies and the evidence and the product development and the restrictions and travel rules, which is, for example, a negative thing that can come within regulation. But not to dive into Mika, I would say in general that regulation and like in the gambling industry, for example, that happened in 2012, 13, started applying regulation on the gambling market in Europe. You saw what happened. I mean, the small ones just moved out or just closed, and the big ones that managed to develop and adopt themselves to the market were tremendously successful in the decades after. And also the market adoption in the gambling industry. I believe we are in the same phase where gambling was just in crypto. I believe that eventually the regulation will increase the crypto adoption in the more traditional institutions, financial institutions. And I believe the ones that will adopt will survive and succeed. And the market adoption will increase because of it, because users need some trust, and regulation brings trust. And the ones that need to leave the market will leave the market. So eventually it's good. Whether for me as a builder, it's easy, not. It's hard and it's frustrating. And I think there is negative aspects to it for the users as well, like travel rules in Mika, which basically eliminate all kind of blockchain anonymity within the blockchain. That's it.
Thank you.
I would say that the rising cost of compliance is just pushing out the small players out of the market. I would say that the rules that we see nowadays are mainly to protect the status quo. I would also say that decentralized technology and Bitcoin is, excuse my French, fuck you technology, and that it doesn't need.
That was not what I was expecting from a Bitcoin maxi.
I wouldn't say I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I would say I'm an altcoin minimalist. There are.
I love that phrase. I'm gonna coin that.
Just counting in £1 that can actually make some kind of benefit to humanity besides Bitcoin. And the way I see it, Europe is doomed when it comes to over-regulating, under-innovating. Businesses are moving overseas, and with the current, situation, is not going to get better. MiCA, although it comes with the pretense of consumer protection, is just a pain in the ass, and other jurisdictions are doing it better and they're leading the way. So I'm really hoping that MiCA will improve in the future, that we'll have a little bit more clarity. I mean, there's still a long way to go. MiCA is just MiFID II that was transcribed for crypto assets. That's my personal opinion. So
I'm gonna pass on this one. I don't really want to.
You can't beat that.
After the MiFID II, yeah, there's nothing more to say.
So many sound bites coming out of that one, George.
My 2 cents on this is whatever angle you want to spin on it, and everything you said is correct, right? But you have to play the game. In order to have adoption when it comes to an alternative financial system or ecosystem, it's never going to be accepted or allowed to be adopted unless you follow or play the game, correct? This is why the first example we've got in as evidence is the stablecoin, because they are pegged against the
Regulated
currencies.
assets.
Yeah, or in your instance, both, right? But when it comes to Bitcoin, we're a long way away of Bitcoin becoming the go-to, let's say, as a reserve, as something that's pegged against,
everybody gets Bitcoin at the price that they deserve.
So well
Next
said.
I want to add something on
I
that.
have a special question for you.
Please go ahead, please.
But you can answer.
I just want to say a few things here. First of all, now, as my friend Dimitris there can say, who is one of the biggest service providers in Cyprus when it comes to MiFID firms. MiFID
Can we get a round of applause for Dimitris?
MiFID kind of brought about an explosion in the passport of financial service across the European Union, right? You could never have that before MiFID. So even though MiFID was strict and MiFID II was even stricter, at the end of the day, if it wasn't for MiFID, you wouldn't have this universal acceptance of passporting of financial service across the European Union.
Is that what they're going to say about MiCA?
I'll get there. I'm a bit opinionated, so I'm going to just speak my mind. Now, in Dubai, in the UAE, before VARA, you didn't have the explosion of crypto-related activity that you have today, right? So again, you needed a strong regulatory framework to facilitate and
Attract.
attract, big companies, to come in and set up. Now, so we need to understand. I mean, what's in it. I mean, for the participants, for the people, and so on. I have a lot of friends who are in the crypto space. Now, again, like George said, MiCA was created to protect the small investor. It might not be there to protect the interests of Tether, right? And there's some voices that say that Tether might not even pass the audit.
That's
and this
what
is
they say it does.
that's what I said. I mean,
what they say.
these are the rumors.
Debate.
But what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, you cannot have one rule that's gonna, feed
Rule them all.
Rule them all. That's gonna feed everyone. So regulation is very important.
So many sound bites. One rule to rule them all.
One rule, just like the Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And don't forget, guys, that the concept of decentralized finance, in the concept of today's financial service environment, it's a utopia. The concept of decentralized and finance as a unified concept cannot exist. You either have decentralization, in which case you can have a closed loop bartering economy between participants, right? I like your car. I'm going to give you whatever value I have in a centralized system to get your car, but that value is going to stay within the system. But the moment that I want to take that value out of the system, the concept of decentralization does not exist. For better or for worse, this is the case today. I mean, you cannot argue that this is never going to change, right? So it's just a matter of trying to learn and play within the rules. In my mind, I learned to be a little bit more pragmatic and look at decentralization, not from the concept of bypassing gatekeepers, but from the perspective of democratizing the financial services industry. What do I mean? It means that nowadays you don't need 100,000 euros as a minimal investment into an alternative investment fund to get a piece of a commercial real estate in Frankfurt or in the UK or in Dubai, right? Potentially, you can have the digitalization, tokenization of real estate assets. So with just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 euros or dollars, you can be a part owner of a major asset class. So this is democratization. So this is the next evolution, which might not be as poetic and as
Politically correct.
yes, theoretical, but I think it's a little bit more pragmatic and a little bit more realistic.
Okay, thank you all for that. I think the amazing thing is that you disagreed on certain things, but both camps are 100% right. Okay, you can't get to where you're going without regulation. Regulation takes time, to develop and to make sense, because when you think about it, who are making these regulations? It's not like one guy sitting in a room and thinking okay, let's ideate and come out with. You have 100 people working on these teams, and just to draft one document takes them 11 months. And then it barely makes sense afterwards. And then, unfortunately, the guys who make who come out on top from this are the lawyers, okay? Because every single line there, you need somebody to interpret for you. And like you said, you can't come into this industry without having a team of lawyers behind you. You can't start building until somebody's explained to you exactly how you're supposed to do that. And so I guess I want to segue from there. I told you, I promised you your own question, so I have one for you. So we're at a CryptoConnect Limassol. So we're in Cyprus. So I want to talk about Cyprus for a second. We at DLT LAW have the advantage of not being tied to any specific jurisdiction. So when I sit with a client and try and come up with an optimal regulatory strategy for him, I'm looking at the entire globe. I don't have to sell a specific jurisdiction or license. You, on the other hand, mentioned how you initially convinced Revolut that Cyprus was the place to go for them, and obviously, you mentioned to me some of your clientele. They read the who's who of the crypto industry worldwide, and you represent their interests here in Cyprus. So I'm curious to hear from you how you see Cyprus as with Mika and with everything else, if they're an attractive enough jurisdiction to come and build it, and if they're going to be move swiftly enough to continue to make this an attractive place to come and to work, tax aside, talking regulation-wise.
Well, it's a struggle, right? I mean, you're talking about regulators, and at the end of the day, they need to abide by the EU guidelines. They need to abide by the EU rulebook. Now,
but they have some degree of flexibility.
There is some. Look, I mean, Cyprus, the traditional strong points, key points that make Cyprus a good jurisdiction to be at, still exist. I mean, the fact that we have common law, the fact that we have relatively low taxation, the fact that we have a business ecosystem that you can speak and submit documentation in English. Those are very
such fine pubs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have good weather, good people. Now, what makes it also feasible to be here is the fact that even though the banking system here totally sucks when it comes to crypto acceptance, you're not restricted to having bank accounts or depending on the banking system here in Cyprus, right? So you can definitely go to to other jurisdictions, for banking services. But the good thing about Cyprus is also the fact that you have a regulator that is very accustomed to working with international clients. I mean, through the fire that we went through over the years with binary options at first and then CFDs and the hundreds of financial services firms that were coming here to passport the service across the European Union, you have created an ecosystem where the regulator can understand and appreciate that Cyprus, for better or for worse, is a business center, right? Now, other jurisdictions try to do the same thing with various degrees of success over the years. Now, Estonia tried to do something similar for VASPs, for CASPs, but I think that the velocity of the applications and of the of the registration that they had made it prohibitive for them to be a sustainable jurisdiction. Other jurisdictions don't have the capacity to offer what Cyprus offers in terms of where you have a regulator that can understand and accept international businesses, English language, common law, etc. And the fact that we still have a regulator here in Cyprus that is willing to sit down and discuss with companies that are interested in coming and set up shop here in Cyprus. So Cyprus, I think, still has this basically unique benefits and unique differentiating factors when it comes to being a jurisdiction that is open and accepting. And I don't think that this is going to be ending anytime soon. And I think that the fact that some of the big players here in Europe have chosen Cyprus to be their MiFID slash MiCA jurisdiction, it's only going to be reinforcing this, and it's going to be setting Cyprus as the main focal point for the next decade or so. Don't forget that it was a big opportunity for other jurisdictions to come about when MiCA came out. So Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, and was it Czech, right? Was the Czech Republic? Those were some other jurisdictions that tried. Now, to some extent, I think they succeeded.
They had a good run.
But now with the conversion to MiCA, I think that Cyprus is back in the spotlight, and I think it's going to stay there.
Okay, can we get a round of applause for Cyprus? Okay, thank you. I think that having a regulator that is, open to having a conversation and to working with you cannot be understated. You can look at the current SEC under the Trump administration versus the SEC under the Biden administration and how bad that was for an industry that was just like asking for guidance and wasn't getting any. So that's definitely a huge pro point for Cyprus. So that's on the service provider side. What about on the building side? Like some of you came here by choice. Some of you guys, I guess, were born here. But how have you found building in Cyprus, building in crypto in Cyprus?
You can start now.
Stav, you don't like the mic, huh?
No. I didn't understand the question. So building.
I'm saying you're here by default, not by choice.
Yeah. I grew up here.
And yet, what do you think about building here?
Building here in terms of crypto as an industry, yeah. Okay, like my friend Yiannos said, the one I think angle that we got lucky with was the banking sector, because joining the EU and we got lucky with the regulators as well. So you got CySec and you got Central Bank of Cyprus. CySec is all for crypto, it's all for digital asset licenses, whereas the central bank is against all crypto activity. So the difference there is where we get lucky, because within the EU, we're not restricted where companies can bank and hold money and operate their treasuries, right? So that means that you can have a crypto company in Cyprus while using other jurisdictions to run your treasury and operate your company. Most forex companies do that anyway, right? As we know. So for me, I would say Cyprus is, how can I put this? It allows you leniency to do what the central bank or the banking system doesn't want you to do, or what they don't want to handle and have liability in, right? And then,
tread carefully here.
I don't think anyone from the regulator is here, right? And if it's being recorded,
they're in disguise.
No, that's fine. I know Dimitra Kalogirou and I know Karajaz from, So the good thing about Cyprus, in my eyes is this. We have the experience in taking on the risk when it comes to the forex and the CySec industries, right? Whereas other industries, other regulators in the EU made a huge leap in accepting.
Right. They're less inclined to go into those areas because they don't have the experience.
They don't have the experience.
Okay.
They don't know they're just ticking boxes, right? Just like a bank opening an account for a company in an industry they don't understand. For us, it's more copy-paste the English financial regulator system. You understand what you're doing. you pass on some liability to the central bank that says no. You go to Germany, Switzerland, UK for the banking, and then we have a way of wrapping a bow around, let's say, an industry by segregating responsibility in a good way. I'm not saying that we're doing it to bypass, and it's in a good way. In Cyprus, though, the biggest benefit is this: we've had SciSec, forest companies from early 2000s. Now with crypto, you're talking about the same industries, the same verticals: development, sales, languages. So because of the forex industry, you can pivot from that to EMIs, payment institutions, crypto, anything that is remotely similar to that industry by passing on and pivoting the skills. So for us, we're clever in that sense because we don't just jump in and try to sell ourselves as the hub of the next thing. We are, what's the word? We are.
You're like a chameleon.
No, exactly.
You can adapt to.
We are a chameleon, of course, but we are strategically, placing ourselves in a place where we can just transition from.
Too many words. Sum it up.
Fake it till you make it.
Fake it till
No.
you make it.
No.
That's tonight's
That's
motto.
the slogan of the day.
It is. Come on, it's
All right.
But yeah, Cyprus is something unique. In the EU, you're talking about, a country that follows other, regulators, copy paste, whatever works, you copy paste, and that's how you create a new industry. Or you
Innovation at its best.
That's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah. We got to wrap it up. So pass it to George.
Well, I'm not gonna keep it that long. I just want to share a personal story I had the other day. So I went to the bank. I have a very small company, and the guy, my banker, he just happened to. No. This is BOC, Bank of Cyprus. So the guy just checks me on LinkedIn. He sees I'm all about Bitcoin, I'm all about crypto, and this and that, and he's like,
We're shutting you down.
almost,
That's what they would do in Israel, by the way.
almost. So like he was asking me, what is your company all about? I'm like, I'm just providing consultancy services to people about technology. I was like, what kind of technology? It's like distributed ledger technology. It's like crypto. It's like, no, I don't do crypto. I just help them understand and implement the technology on a practical level. It's like, you know that Bitcoin is illegal, right? It's like, no, it is not illegal. I'm quite sure about that. It's like, are you sure? We had all these recommendations from the European Central Bank and the Bank of Cyprus and the Central Bank of Cyprus that Bitcoin is illegal. And with that, this is the stage where we are today. This happened in 2025, guys.
Who do you bank with now, George?
No comment.
No comment. I'm not. I'm not gonna refer anyone.
Actually, I have nothing to comment. I mean, they said exactly as it is. For me, for example, for me individually, I have the same experience. And if we're talking about XPO is a crypto exchange, so we are headquarters here in Limassol because we live here in the last 5 years, and we have amazing teams that are with us over 5 years, and we enjoy the practicality of the office here. But the XPO is licensed in Poland and Czech Republic because of that. Because we are applying now, for example, for the MiCA license in Cyprus. It's very, very hard. It takes time. Cyprus Bank are not for crypto, so all our banking, all our financial structure, everything is not in Cyprus. We are here in Cyprus. We have amazing teams here in Cyprus. Our R&D is in Kiev, globally. So
Money rails are outside Cyprus.
exactly. Unfortunately, but I agree that as the CFDs market managed to adapt to the regulation here and manage to thrive under SciSec within the financial ecosystem of Cyprus. I believe that in the future maybe crypto will be able to do it as well.
You want to answer? Or you want me to go for the last question?
Yeah, I mean, just open accounts with Revolut, right? I mean, if you have a problem with Cyprus,
That was the plug. There you go. You heard it from a director of digital assets at Revolut.
So, but look, I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, this is not a problem only in Cyprus, guys. I mean, this is a problem globally. Even in Dubai, believe it or not, that everybody thinks that this is crypto heaven. Most banks in Dubai will not open an account even if you have a VARA license, they will not open an account for you, right? Which is under the same regulatory framework, if you think about it. So there's only one bank in Dubai, in the UAE, that's going to be, welcoming crypto-related companies. So this is a global thing. It's not only here in Cyprus, but like I said before, the good thing is that nowadays you're not restricted to one jurisdiction. You can pick and choose. So basically, you can have your operations in one jurisdiction, your banking in another jurisdiction. So at the end of the day, you just have to make the best of whatever you can. There is no other way. I mean, you don't have global acceptance, and it's not something that's going to be coming anytime soon. In Cyprus, just to give you again from my personal experience, we actually we had a discussion with the central bank, we had a discussion with the Ministry of Finance. We talked to them about, perhaps issuing kind of a policy statement saying, look, guys, I mean, your banks now, you have MiCA, so maybe you should start being a little bit friendlier. But after discussions that we had, and both the central bank and the Ministry of Finance was very accepting and very welcoming towards that. But then after discussions with the compliance departments of banks, you know what they told me? It's not the Central Bank of Cyprus that we're afraid of. It's a correspondence banks. This is a problem. It's not the central bank.
Right. It's the whole industry that's broken, not just.
So,
I feel like we have this. If we have this panel in like a million other countries, we probably hear the same sentiments about the local banks.
Exactly. So it's all about making the best of the situation, trying to find banking partners that are going to be able to facilitate whatever you need to do, because there's no other way to do it.
So there you go. Open a Revolut account today. One last question, and you only get one word for your answer. Okay. If we had a Psy exit today, like a Brexit, okay, and you guys decide that you're getting up and walking away from the EU, and the government called you up and they said, Stav, George, Lior, Yiannos, you could pick any law for us to copy. Which country would you copy? One word. No explanations. Just.
One word.
Pass the mic.
One country,
Pass it on.
that's it.
El Salvador.
Regulation.
Ah.
El Salvador.
Spoken like a true altcoin minimalist. What did you say, Lior?
No, we need the why. We need the why.
They say it's
We'll give you.
it's a license. I don't know.
UAE.
UAE. Okay, now add one sentence explaining why.
UAE, because they take the best of all worlds and they combine it without any prejudice. They just find what is the most practical approach to getting shit done. It's as simple as that.
Right, but it's too hot and the traffic sucks. Thank you. Lior, you said. Okay, you said what? El Salvador is obvious. And you didn't answer stuff.
No comment.
I'm not letting you leave. All these people are sitting and waiting for the penalty, and then we can't go home.
If you don't say anything, you're stuck with Mika.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Mika's like a dog's name.
Come on.
Do you know what? No, as it is. Because it's one thing wishing about,
One word.
Okay.
Mika, man, just go with
Mika.
Thank you guys very much. You were all fantastic. It was lovely having you on here on the panel. If anybody has additional questions, please feel free to come up and talk to our panelists after. And if anybody wants to reach out and talk to me or my team, Yarden and I are here, and you could also scan and reach out to us on Telegram. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Very